apprehensive, through a cold steam on the river. Periodically, it rises. First the bridges toppling, and then the houses. Solid homes with corners, walls and doorsteps, momentarily suspended in an eerie yellow stormlight. Upside down, impossible. Extend your colliery shafts past the groundwater level and they flood for want of an effective pumping system. Boy apprentices drift, slumped like starfish, through evacuated tunnels, ride the corpse flume down into anthracite black. The choke damp drops you in your tracks and doesn't even have a smell. While at a spark, the fire damp blossoms to explosion and they haul up their recoverable dead in buckets. City as anvil, rain and gas and pit collapse and flame, these are God's hammers, thundering upon the bitter edge of empire. This is the English journey. The trajectory that landscape will describe through time, the blurring view out through the windscreen of the present as it hurtles past grotesquely morphing scenery at the unvarying and frankly reckless speed of 1 minute per minute. By 1803, Napoleon is 34. France's dictator and first consul following his coup d'etat of 4 years earlier and warming up for over 2 decades of a cordite and horsemeat Armageddon. J.M.W. Turner, 28 years old, has been to Paris in the short-lived lull after the Peace of Amiens, but now he's safely back in London when hostilities inevitably are resumed. In that same year, 13-year-old John Martin and his family moved to Newcastle, where hell glow from the forges stains skies that are dark and heavy with particulates. An entire firmament collapsing with the weight of its accumulated carbon crust to rain down on the town below in smutty chunks as big as factories. ever got, with their Mediterranean tans, thin tunics and short skirts, freezing their asses off at Wall's End, Segedunum, thus commencing a tradition. The precarious margin of their territory scares them, alien and elemental, liminal and filled with unknown hazard, too close to the Arctic for their skimpily dressed gods to follow and watch over them. They need a local hand to mediate between them and a savage landscape, and at the wall's other end in Benwell, Conjugation, they erect their temple to a borrowed native deity, Antonocyticus, god of the antler-fringed brow, and therefore a horned one, a Kernumis. The surviving fragment of his statue with its flattened bone fringe swept to one side and suggestion of toothbrush moustache is possibly an inspiration for the features of the figure leading Franz von Stuck's Wild Hunt, the face of Adolf Hitler, born in 1889, the same year that it's painted. Called the greatest and the best, Antonocyticus is clearly on a par with Jupiter, the wielder of the lightning whose dominion extended unto all things, to the squall and avalanche and hunted boar, god of a hostile universe that lay beyond their world's Hyperborean rim, upon whose whim survival rested. Beautifully fashioned in the Celtic style, his psychopathic pinprick eyes are merciless, omnipotent, mad with divinity. A pagan gaze that promises the end of cities. A condition that seems far away back in the tumult of the late 18th and early 19th centuries, when modern industry still gurgles in its infancy, in its gunmetal cot. Or at least, further than it seems today. Neither Newcastle lad John Martin nor his Covent Garden colleague Joseph Turner, artists tempered by that era's locomotive steam, are strangers to insanity. Both Turner's mother and John Martin's brother Jonathan will end their lives at Bedlam, in the orbit of contemporary apocalyptic visionary William Blake. Both men are photosensitive to their new age, reacting to its light, its shocks and promises exposed in their emotions. Martin ends the world in cataclysmic great days of his wrath, titan upheavals and the heavens falling. Turner ends the world by boiling all its form away into a fearful and obliterating immanence. Towards the end, in his great Western Railway conjuring rain, steam and speed, only the dark stroke of a smokestack tells us what we're peering at. Though painted 40 years apart by men of widely different temperament and age and style, both Turner's Hannibal and Martin's Sodom and Gomorrah possess many similarities and have the stamp of catastrophic times upon them. Turner's piece is executed during 1812 while John Martin is hanging his first painting, Sadak in Search of the Waters of Oblivion, in the Royal Academy. Just a year previously, Napoleon has tried to invade Italy across the Alps, Hannibal style, defeated by the stark realities of weather and terrain. Turner conceives a warning, a reminder of the shattering and gigantic forces of the earth that wait to wipe away our kingdoms, our republics, our delirious ambitions, a tribunal that brooks no appeal. He steals a murderous Yorkshire sky from over Farnley Hall in Ockley, revels in the drama of a northern light. John Martin's levelling of the cities of the plain, painted in 1852 with Martin in his early 60s, has the same regional atmospherics, has the furnace glow of his Newcastle youth deployed to similar ends. It shares with Turner's painting an enormity of scale and moment, tiny bridal figures only there to illustrate the vastness of destruction that surrounds them, the futility and insignificance of human grandeurs faced with natural disaster, faced with carpet bombing from the angels. Both works have the same intention, a critique of overreaching national arrogance couched in a language that is classical or biblical. Most strikingly, they share a composition. Rocky terrain in the lower foreground, rising on the right where miniaturist figures cower, Lot and his daughters, Hannibal's doomed soldiers. Over all this, in the upper background's whirl and spectacle, Martin and Turner both depict the same annihilating vortex, one with flame and one with snow. Some say the world will end in fire, some in ice, but both functions in the debate agree that it will end. Rome's rule, Napoleon's, Gomorrah, the industrially warmed world that we inhabit, straining at the end of their respective tethers, facing the same whirlpool of demise. This is a terror of the world's edge, is the vertigo of an accelerated culture. Out beyond the lights of every city, every town and every century, this is the abyss that abides. These lethal vortices are each ellipses, one that sears and one that freezes. At the Roman garrisons hunching against the lane in Westgate Road beside Hadrian's Wall, these are the terminal configurations of civilization's margins, are the forces outside that must be appeased. In 2010, at this unique convergence, hang side by side together, the twin maelstroms of extinction can't help but suggest an optical arrangement. These storm sockets, poured with hail and magma and eradication. We stand at the precipice of ourselves and look down into a gaze that has not blinked or wavered since before we were, and would not notice if we were no longer. At these snow-blind precincts of our empire, at this limit of our possibilities, we stare into the cold eyes of Antinous Siticus.